Hello, welcome to Good Games Well Played, episode 142. I'm Clint, aka JCM. With us this week is Messiah.
Hello.
And unfortunately, Isley just got back from his vacation, but he has the COVID, unfortunately. So,
Boo.
yeah, he will not be joining us. Not that he would have been able to talk about what he played. I don't even know if he took anything with him to play, because he has a Switch, right? But I don't. Yeah, he didn't mention playing anything. I'm sure he did, but yeah, not a whole lot to go over this week. We'll start off first with the PlayStation Plus catalog for December. It was announced earlier this week. A lot of stuff coming to it. So the Plus Extra and Premium catalog, they get GTA 5, Strangers of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins, MotoGP, Metal Hellsinger. That's a good one. I'd definitely say check that out. I feel like that's a game that kind of went under the radar. I never did finish it. I need to go back to it, but that's a fun game. And having it be on PlayStation Plus is, I think it might have been part of Plus Regular when it came out, and now it's on Plus Extra. But Salt and Sacrifice, it's the Salt and Sanctuary sequel that's on there. Mega Man 11, Moonscars, Giga Bash, a couple of things, a couple Shadowrun games as well. And then the PlayStation Premium, which is the classics, they get Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 and 2, Thrillville, and then Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. So some nice games on there. I'm surprised GTA is on there after being, I mean, that game's always like number one for so long, it feels like, because everyone's playing GTA Online. Then the other thing we have is the sad news. Well, we'll save that for last. Is so I think this went up after we posted, but did we talk about it? I don't think we talked about it last week, because last week was the, man, I wish I remember what we talked about last week. Was
Game
the
Awards, pretty much.
Game, yeah, just all the Game Awards. But the day before is gone. Like it's gone. IGN gave it a 1 like after it like their review wasn't even finished before they're the only outlet that gave a review. Like it's gone, it's done, it's delisted off Steam. They wiped themselves off the face of the internet. It's just out. It's like, yeah, this is clearly a scam game. There's a funny a video by who I didn't know was I don't want to call him like a investigative journalist, but like one of those, like H Bomber guy kind of YouTube channels where it's like Skill Up YouTube. I thought that was like related to a gaming outlet. I didn't realize it was like just one person. And they have a whole video on, which I've seen videos before in the past from like a year and a half ago that were very speculative of if the game was actually legit based on the announced trailers, who they were, their history games. So I'm familiar with the company now, but this like Skill Up YouTube has a video where it kind of covers everything about it. And like the two guys who I guess are Russian, but they set up business in Korea, so they get around sanctions or whatever. It's just really weird. And then, yeah, how it's like they just wouldn't do any interviews with anybody about the game at all. And they say like, oh, we promise it's a real game. And then they're like pushing some kind of social app when COVID hit, like a Teams kind of alternative. Really weird stuff. But yeah, it's it's bad.
If you have to convince people that your game is real, I think at that point it's probably not real, or it's probably not good, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, it's real to their credit, but
yeah, and it's so funny because they talk about like, oh, our game's not just we didn't take a bunch of assets. But then someone like dug through the game files and it's just stuff they bought off the Unreal store, which is fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like I probably could never go into a game and be like, oh, I recognize that tree. That was used in another game. Like, it's like, who cares? It's like, especially for a small team, like it saves times. That's the point of an asset store, especially in like Unity and stuff like that. It's like, is to help people make the games. I don't care. But it's like everything in it was just and they kind of break down like how much it cost them to get all the assets, put everything together. And how like they tried to scrub the fact that they called it an MMO off of Steam, because it like clearly isn't an MMO. And it's pretty nuts.
It's like, not only was it a scam, but it was a messy scam. You can scam people and be good at it, but why are you so messy?
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know, man, but I'm glad it's over, because it was just such
don't have to hear about it anymore.
Yeah, it's like it's done. It's over. I'm Frodo and Lord of the Rings, it's over. But yeah. And then after that, not a whole, obviously the Ragnarok DLC went live this week. The Alan Wake 2 New Game Plus went live. I was debating whether or not to just watch like an ending for Alan Wake 2, but I know like they did change some stuff like in the game, not like major things, but like it's like there's script pages. You know, like the story of Alan Wake is he's trying to write his way out of the dark place, and so there's a script that's already finished. He's not sure if he wrote it, he can't remember, but he's trying to make edits to it to kind of change the story as you play. So when you find this manuscript pages, you can see like all the line edits written on there in pen to show like, oh, clearly this is what he's changing, like scratched out lines as well, or like whole paragraphs. But then because it's like, you know, light spoilers for Alan Wake 2, because the New Game Plus is basically you run it back, it's like now they're not edits. The manuscripts you're reading, it's in it because it's a cycle kind of repeating itself, which is really cool. So I'm like, okay, you know, I'll just go back and replay it. I won't just watch the ending. But what's weird too about the God of War Ragnarok DLC is people saying like, man, this is so much more than just a DLC, like yada yada. I'm like, yeah, but they said that in the thing. Like, why are you so Pikachu face surprised about it? Like,
because nobody pays attention to anything.
Well, what's so weird is like, had they oversold it, you would have been disappointed, right? But if they just lightly say it, because even like some folks I listen to, like they were super speculative. I'm like, you could easily have more story for Kratos built into the rogue. I mean, did you not play Returnal? Like that game is all story around a roguelike. Like you could do it. Like it's not that hard. Like I can imagine how they'd fit it in. But yeah, it was really weird to see people so surprised. But it was nice to see that they were like really excited, because at least it meant that, okay, there's much more than maybe what I was already expecting based on marketing materials. So I am looking forward to getting into it. I just won't get into it right away. Do you think, you played you played Ragnarok? Yeah. You gonna go do the DLC?
I went on and, well, I bought / downloaded it on the app while I was at work on Friday, because I was like, oh, Michael can play it because he's at home right now, and I'll just download it. And so when he's not working anymore, he can go in and play it. Totally forgot that he never played Ragnarok. He just watched me play it. So I was like, oh, okay. I had every intention to come home and play it, and then I came home and played my farm game instead. So maybe later today I might play it. Actually, I don't know. He has people coming over, and I don't know if they want spoilers. So I'll play it sometime during the week, probably. I don't know how long it is, but I imagine it's not very long.
Yeah, I wonder. That was my question too. Like, okay, you know, Returnal is a long game, but it's like, how much of this is like, okay, how much do you have to play it? Like, is there a clear set of progression? Like, okay, clearly this is trial 1, and you see like maybe there's like 10 trials. So it's like, okay, there's got to be some story bits for each of these trials, and they kind of give you an idea of progression. But yeah, I'm curious how long it is.
I don't know how long it would be. I'm assuming you can choose difficulties on it, like the difficulties you had when you played the main game, or you can change them or whatever. So I don't know if I would keep it on what I had, or if I would just put it on easy, just because I haven't played it in so long. So I don't know if that would make it faster, but yeah, I don't know. I'll probably start it sometime this week.
What the fuck? So I Googled God of War Ragnarok Valhalla length. The first hit is from a Dexerto.com on Google. The opening line says, "What is Mr. Beast's net worth, and how does he make money? This token of gratitude from the Santa Monica studio developers is about 6 hours long. However, because of its genre, some hardcore fans can get a few more hours of it thanks to a plethora of roguelike elements that give the game a lot of replayability." What the fuck does Mr. Beast have to do with God of Ragnarok? It's like the Google response.
Trying to hit that algorithm.
Right, I guess, yeah. Jesus, it's like, you know, when I put up the podcast episodes, I can put like a bunch of tags on it. And it's like, yeah, I guess I could, like, it's like when you see those people on socials where like they spam something. Like I watch like a lot of, I look at like a lot of fan art for like Baldur's Gate 3 on Instagram, or like clips and whatnot. And it's like, sometimes it'll be like, you know, it'll be one character, but they'll hashtag like every character in the game. It's like, this doesn't even include Astarion, but they know Astarion gets the clicks. So it's like, I'll just put that and everything in there. It's like, you know, 50,000 hashtags in the thing just to get into people's algorithms. I'm like, come on, man, just stop. Stop it. It's like, yeah, that's what it looks like they're doing. Man. But anyways, okay, so yeah, about 6 hours. That's not too bad. I'll definitely give that a shot. And then the last bit of news is that unfortunately Naughty Dog has officially canceled The Last of Us 2 multiplayer, which is very disappointing. They said in a statement, quote, "The multiplayer team has been in pre-production with this game since we were working on The Last of Us Part 2, crafting an experience we felt was unique and had tremendous potential. As the multiplayer team iterated, and then the concept for The Last of Us Online, during this time, their vision crystallized and gameplay got more refined and satisfying, and we were enthusiastic about the direction in which we were headed. In ramping up for full production, the massive scope of our ambition became clear. To release and support The Last of Us Online, we'd have to put all our studio resources behind supporting post-launch content for years to come, severely impacting development on future single-player games. So we've had two paths in front of us: become a solely live service game studio, or continue to focus on single-player native games that have defined Naughty Dog's heritage." And for the most part, a lot of the people have been like, "Oh yeah, stick with single player," like praising them. But there are some people who kind of echo what I was thinking as well. Is like, you don't have to do years of content for it, man. Like, just release it, and only like I think about the Division 2. Division 2 had like these little seasons, like little bits of content you could do that were small. And then they would also have like, okay, when I went back to it and played it, it was like the New York DLC. It's like a DLC that took you back to New York. It's like, okay, that's when it kind of came out on PS5 and everything. It's like, okay, that's cool. It's like, that's a big chunk. There's a huge story, new location. Okay, yada yada. It's like, but you could easily do like just have something that's fun and not do crazy. It doesn't have to be an online service. Like, make it like Ghost of Tsushima Legends. Just have the groundwork, maybe do a little bit of support, but it doesn't have to be anything crazy. And make sure you just have the standard multiplayer modes from factions, right? It doesn't need to be this big year-long live service thing.
Yeah, and just, I'm sure there's parts of it that could have been scaled back or like saved from initial launch to be released later kind of thing, instead of like, oh, we're going to release this huge scope game and we're going to have to support this huge scope game for years. It's like, well, just scale back the initial launch and use all of that stuff as your content kind of thing. I mean, I don't know how easy something like that is, but it doesn't have to be this. If you see that the scope is too big for what your initial plan was, and once you start developing it, just scale it back maybe a little bit.
Yeah, like the standard multiplayer modes should be your base, because even Division has regular multiplayer in it, not just like team. It's a more team based stuff. It's not single player, but it's like, sure, they have the PvP zones, whatever. You got to do balance patches and what like that. It's like, but you could just have your base modes, have your scavenge, all that stuff, whatever multiplayer. It's like, that's good. Then just reduce your scope for the online portion. Just, have your big map or whatever, have a QA team to, deal with any bugs that pop up like this and that, and then just do smaller bits of content. It's like, you don't have to become a live. I mean, I don't know. Again, this is obviously, we don't work in the game systems, but I feel like just based on live service games I've played that have done small, again, the Division, I feel like you could easily do like that small seasonal stuff. I feel like can be supported by a small enough team, or at least like, have it be a small team and just take longer, because people are still going to play the multiplayer. Factions is still popular on Last of Us Part 1, well, even though it's just The Last of Us, because Part 1 doesn't have multiplayer, but people are still playing it, right? And it's like, you could easily support that just fine. But yeah, it's it's surprising, and it sucks too, because like all the devs on Twitter are like I'd see them like they quote tweet it and say like how much fun it was and how much they learned and how they're disappointed. And it's like, man, it just sucks. It's like, I mean, I guess, but I just don't get we would have to become a full live service studio. I'm like, I don't understand how.
And it's not necessarily, if the game is successful and you need to keep supporting it, it's not like you would have the same size team. Like, if it's successful and it's pulling in revenue and it's doing well, you could expand the team. Like, obviously your studio is doing well, and then you have a team that's dedicated to that. Like, it's not necessarily a live service team. They can work on other things too, but what is so bad about hiring more people? Yeah. And then those people get experience on that project. So if that project goes under, or if you decide to end it, then you can move them onto your single player teams, and voila, you have more people to do bigger, better games.
Yeah, and it's like, if it is this reason and not the rumors that Bungie said it's not good and that's why it got delayed. Like, if it was good, it would just take a lot of resources. I feel like just release the standard normal multiplayer then. And then when you have that, at least that's there. You can do small little cosmetic, packages and stuff that people can buy and, support that way or something. Or have it be like a standalone $5-10 thing. I don't know, like something small. So at least you get some money back for the time you spent on it. But yeah, it's like I don't know, man. And I feel like if it was gonna be good, I feel like Sony could have had like, hey, let's get some contractors on here to get this going. Put a little bit of money into it, more money into it, and not necessarily pull the core Naughty Dog team away, and just have some outside contractors come in. I don't know. I mean, there's been so many layoffs. Like, there's got to be people out there who you can just hire who would be happy to help them out by giving them a job.
Right. Yeah. I was just thinking, like, there's so many people out there who just lost their positions or are deciding to move into contract work or stuff like that have probably had experience with live service games or stuff like that would jump at the opportunity to work on a Naughty Dog game.
Apparently, I guess they did suffer a round of layoffs at Naughty Dog, but I thought when we talked about this, let's see, this was reported in October. I think we might have talked about this. Laid off at least 25 developers. Okay, so 25 developers. Most of the people affected were quality assurance they're contractors. Okay, we're seeing their contracts cut short. Okay, so it's like, hey, we're scaling back. It was contract workers, not rooted Naughty Dog employees. Okay. But yeah, it was 25 folks. Yeah, I guess we must have missed that. But yeah, it's yeah, I'm just surprised, especially because Sony has the whole life. That's why some of it must be that Bungie thing. Like, I guess if Bungie came in and they said it was good, would have continued. Also, like, if you're over scoping your project, that's bad management. You gotta, man, like, you know what I mean? It should have been milestones. Like, hey, let's establish the 5v5 multiplayer modes that we have in the first game with the maps and the weapons we have in this game. Get that to happen. That's milestone 1. And then see if you can do the other stuff. But it's like, if you're, as they say here, if the massive scope of your ambition became clear, it's like, then you need to, that's mismanagement, man. You need to scale it back. Like, someone should have been saying, no, you can have big ideas, but you need to at least do what you've already done. Get that. You did it once. You did it more than once because you did it on Uncharted as well. Like, you have multiplayer experience. Just do that. Then scope the ideas, the expanded ideas. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, because even if they just were to release, like, hey, multiplayer, like, I'd be totally fine. I would still play that. I don't need, like, would I love the giant Last of Us meets The Division, which is what the day before was supposed to be? Like, yeah, that would have been awesome. But it's like, I would have been totally fine with just being able to go, yeah, let's go do some factions.
I feel like this is a standard part of the dev process too. It's like, oh, you're in the planning stages, you have all these great ideas, here's how they're all going to work. Okay, everything's perfectly planned, and once you start developing it and coding it and making all of the assets and stuff, you see that it's maybe a little bit more than you anticipated, and you just scale back from there. I feel like this is, I mean, again, I don't have any like personal insight into this specific process, but I feel like that's something that happens a lot, especially with indie devs. I follow a lot of indie devs on like Instagram and Twitter and stuff, and I kind of see like their process start to finish, their concept art, like their testing and stuff like that. And it's like, there's a specific indie dev that I follow on Twitch every now and then, and they'll be showing their dev process, and they're like, oh, well, this is the plan that I had for this, but it's proving to be a lot more difficult, so I'm just going to do this in the meantime, and if I figure it out, great. If not, then this is just how it's going to be in the game.
Yeah,
that's like kind of like standard practice.
Yeah, and like that's so funny because like that's how multiplayer in Uncharted 2 came about. It's like, hey, I wonder if we could do this. And you kind of put it together and you're playing it internally at the studio, much like Call of Duty Zombies. Zombies was the same way. It's like, hey, I just made this little thing that we play with internally, and it's like, this could be fun. Let's put it out there. And now Zombies is such a huge part of Call of Duty. It's like you were curious if you could do multiplayer in Uncharted 2. You goofed around with it. It worked. You had multiplayer. That's why I'm so disappointed, because it's not like it's their first multiplayer adventure. You had 2, 3, Last of Us, and 4. Like, you had 4 games with multiplayer. It's like you could, and it's not like Uncharted 4's multiplayer is bad. I had a lot of fun with that multiplayer. We played it together when it was in beta, and it was just like, man, I don't know. It's like, it's great to have this idea, but it's like, treat it as like a second mode. Like, let's do what we've done. So yeah, I don't want to rant on it too much, but it's like, it's especially because like
yeah,
all the devs that were so excited, it's like, man, it's just mismanagement.
There's clearly some kind of like mismanagement or some other behind the scenes thing that goes beyond like, oh, we just planned it too big and we don't want to be a live service. There's something else going on in there, and I'm very curious as to what it was.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, like, does that mean they didn't even have, because I saw a screenshot where someone posted and they said like it was that they got from a leaked a while back, they never shared, but because it got canceled, they shared it. And it looked like the screenshot, which looks like kind of like the main menu, had standard multiplayer in it. So I'm like, clearly it must have been there. Like, if it was a case of where they just didn't even have it, it was purely this live service bit, that's why we don't even have the multiplayer. It's like, okay, but it's like in that picture that they showed, like, of the UI, it looks like it was clearly there, but it's just disappointing. So I was really looking forward to it, man. Even if it's like, people always go like, oh, is it too late? I'm like, not for me, maybe for you, because you're in games media and you play too much shit all the time. But I'm like, I was, totally excited for it, no matter how long it was going to take. But well,
it's never too late for something like that. Like, it just, all it does is bring people back into the franchise. Like, it's not like you have to ride the hype train. Like, Naughty Dog is the hype train.
Yeah, the fan base is still there. They don't have to be, well, they are pretty vocal about it, about how excited they were. But it's like, you have the fan base that was there. You don't have to. I don't know. I don't want to go off on it, but
yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the news. I had it on my phone, but I'll have to do it on my computer. But I was gonna send it to, well, Izzy's obviously here. I was gonna send it to you, but I'm not sure how much you actually played on your PS5 this year. But they have like the PlayStation wrap up is live.
Oh yeah.
And I did mine, and I had it on my phone, but my phone's being used so the kid can watch some videos on the TV. I couldn't find any of my PS4 power cords at all. So I'm like, I had to buy an extra PS4 Pro power cord, and then it's like, okay, I got it. But then it was like, the dresser's too close to the wall where the outlet is. So I'm like, so now I ordered like a flat outlet power strip. So like it super flush to the wall when it plugs in, and it has like a 5-foot cable that goes up to some ports, so I can actually like hook up the PS4 in there so he can watch stuff when he's hanging out, because he likes to. It's so funny. Like, my first kid loved to hang out with his mom and sit next to her when he watched like the whatever he was doing. He just loves sitting next to her. And then my little one, he loves sitting on my lap. So while he watched stuff, like, I was sitting in there earlier, hooked up my phone, and I was like, okay, let's get on some Blippi or whatever. And then wife got her breakfast. And then I was like, okay, I got to go take a shower, little guy. So I set him down next to me on the bed, because I was just on the edge of the bed. And then he turns around, slides off the bed, and then takes a couple sleepy steps in front of me and puts his hands on my knees because he wants to sit up on my lap. I'm like, no, I got to go take a shower, man. Come on. It's like, but yeah, it's
children are just cats.
Yeah, that's basically it.
That's so cute.
But yeah, it's I gotta, what the hell? I'm signing in. It's giving me some random ass puzzles. Like, use the arrows to find the image of the basket that has the same contents as shown on the left.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Why is it such a pain in the ass to sign into your Sony account? I tried to sign in on the browser because I was looking for the FF16 DLC while we were watching the Game Awards, and it took me like 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's somewhere like, what, the email's wrong. Get the fuck your password.
Oh. Okay, we know you're not a robot, but your email is wrong, so maybe you are a robot.
Why not just tell me it's wrong? Tell me it's wrong up front. Don't make me jump through. But like if I do it on my phone, oh shit! Now it's gonna send it to my. It's gonna send a verification to my phone. My phone's in the other room. Two-step verification. Did I put my phone on silent? Resend the code, please. Trust this browser. Resend the code. Damn it! I'm not gonna be able to see it because it's in the other room.
Your kid's gonna come running in the room like somebody's trying to hack your account.
Oh, your battery died, so you can come if you need it. Oh, damn it! It just died again. Okay, give me 1 sec. I gotta go get my phone so I can charge it again. Hold on. Well, I can't do the wrap up because my phone is dead and I can't get my two-factor authentication. So I will wait, and hopefully after we're done talking about what we've been playing, I can come back to it because I do have it on my phone. Because it was some like interesting data I thought based on some of the stuff it shares. So I'll just wait till later. I have it plugged in the fast charger, so hopefully it happens pretty quick. But anyways,
I don't know if I did my Sony one. I did my Nintendo one, but honestly, the Sony one probably is just gonna say I played Final Fantasy 16, and that's about it.
Yeah, I'm curious. It gives you like a name for like based on what you did. It tells you like the first game you played at the beginning of the year, and there's some fun little stats in there. Oh, now it's booting up, but I'll let it charge a little bit more. But while I wait for that, I'll get back to it when I can. We can go ahead and just jump into what we've been playing. I haven't seen you too much on Discord, I feel like, this week, at least gaming wise. Are you just playing Palia, or are you playing something else?
I am 100% in my head empty raised chickens era. So all I've been doing is playing farming games. So Palia came out on Switch. I tried that. It's a little bit of a mess. So I was like, okay, this is fine for like checking my crafting because it's an MMO, it kind of runs all the time. So it's like if it takes a long time to craft like wood or something like that. Okay, thank you. If it takes a long time to craft wood or anything like that, you can't just sleep and then progress the day and have it be done. You actually have to wait 6 hours or whatever, depending on how much you're crafting. So it's good for like logging on during breaks or whatever at work and checking my crafting or doing a little bit of gathering and stuff. But as far as doing any like quests or like any extensive gathering or just long play or anything like that, I can't see myself playing it for a long time on Switch. It's just the pop-in is so bad that even I notice it, and usually stuff like that I don't really notice it, but it's like wherever your character is standing is where the textures are, and anything directly in front or behind them has no like detailed textures or anything like that. It's a little bit of a mess. But I decided like, okay, well, that's fine. That's kind of what I wanted it for, just to like pop on during my break and check my stuff, maybe do a little bit of like, mindless gathering while I'm at work. That's fine. It's whatever. I got on my computer when I got home to play it, and I did like a new temple or dungeon or whatever that they recently released, and I'm having a hard time. I'm trying really, really hard to look past the things, but it's a little bit broken in a lot of places. Like I couldn't fish at one point because my like indicator wouldn't show up, so I couldn't actually do the fishing. I got stuck in a rock somehow. I don't know how, but I was like, okay, well, maybe if I just clip back out, but there's climbing physics inside the rock. So she was just climbing the inside of the rock and couldn't clip back out. And I went, okay, this is so very unfortunate. And I was looking for something. I looked up something. I can't remember what it was. Something in the temple. And apparently I had just barely missed soft locking myself out of the quest because there's something that you can do out of order on accident, and I just barely had missed it.
That's good.
So it's like, it's just little stuff like that. Like also I couldn't figure out how to progress the temple because I had missed like how to progress the quest and just did everything out of order and kind of like had to catch the quest up to what I had already gathered and done and everything. And that's like part of how you can soft lock yourself out of it. And I was like, oh Jesus, I almost just completely broke this. So I don't know. It's just kind of like, I know it's in beta, but they really should have maybe focused on refining the game before releasing it on Switch. Like, I don't know. I like the game. It just, oh Lord, it needs help. They need so much help. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But I hadn't quite scratched my farming itch. So on Switch, I bought a little farming game called Fae Farm. And that's basically what I've been doing.
Did you not play that before, or?
No, it was kind of on my radar, but I just wasn't like, I just wasn't like in the mood for it, I guess. But I finally just went and downloaded it because I looked it up a little bit and people were like, yeah, it's fine. There's some like jank to it. And I was like, it can't be any more jank than Palia. So, and I'm still enjoying that. So let's give it a shot. And honestly, I'm having so much fun with it. It's so cute. There is stuff that's like, I don't know, a little bit weird with it. It does have a little bit of jank to it, which I don't really mind that much. The only like big glaring issue I've noticed with it is the NPCs have no personality whatsoever, and that's kind of disappointing. And like, but that's kind of the part of these type of games that I've never really dove seriously into a little bit. So it's not a huge con to me. It's just like, oh yeah, you have. I'm less inclined to do their quests to raise the like friendship level and stuff like that because it's just kind of the same crap and they all have the same reaction. It's like they'll give you a quest. They're like, oh, I need some. I ran out of some supplies. Do you mind gathering some of them for me? You go and gather it and then you turn it into them. They're like, wow, I love this. How did you know? And it's like, well, you told me. You told me to go get this.
Yeah.
What do you mean? And they all have that reaction. So it's just kind of like, that's a little bit of a bummer because all their little designs are very, very cute. They're all very unique. It's like, oh, it's so sad that you all share a single brain cell and all have the same like AI personality. I don't know what to say. But everything else is very cute. It has some very, very good quality of life things that I wish other farming games would pick up. And I haven't played a lot of super recent ones, so maybe it's just a thing, but it's like you have all of your tools kind of at the start and you can upgrade them like individually and stuff like that. But once you get to a certain upgrade level, because it is kind of like a little magical farm game, they all have like little spells that you can cast to make foraging easier. And once you have like a tool selected, if you go up to a tree, it automatically selects your axe. If you go up to a rock, it automatically selects your pick. So you don't have to like switch between tools to do like all of the trees in an area and then go back with your pick and do all of the rocks in an area. You can kind of just do it as you go. And then you manually switch to like your fishing rod and your bug net and other stuff like that. But just little quality of life things that are very, very neat and kind of a very good idea. And I don't know, I'm sure it runs much better on PC. It's got a little bit of lag on the Switch, but like I said, at this point, I don't really mind that kind of stuff because it's just so cute and it's so fun. So
yeah,
that's literally all I've been doing. I come home from work, I sit on the couch and I empty my thoughts and I pet my chickens. That's about it.
It's life.
I forgot to talk about this last time. I did play the free DLC that came out for Final Fantasy 16.
Mm-hmm.
It was very, very good, but it's really, really short. It's like 3 or 4 hours, if that. But it was so good, and I really can't wait for the next DLC. The music in it is so good. There's a particular I don't know, I don't want to spoil it. There's a particular song in there that like really made me giddy and happy, and like I could basically recognize it immediately, and it was just very, very funny, and it's very, very good. So
yeah,
I want the big DLC to come out now, and I know it's going to be a while.
Gotta wait. Gotta fill it with more chicken petting.
No.
In between. Yeah, before I get to it now that I got my phone back, I saw some things I missed. Like, well, we're not going to go back and talk about like E3's officially dead, which like Righty was on the wall for that.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it was kind of already dead, and I'm surprised it's a big thing right now.
Yeah, and then Fallout 4's next gen update got delayed to 2024, which I forgot was the thing when they announced it a while back. But aside from that, so one thing I missed too because I had a note on it on my phone was so a lot of previews had gone out for the Prince of Persia game that's going to be coming out. It's a Metroidvania, but people were talking about this one feature which I thought was really cool, and they didn't know where it was from because they're Games Press. They probably didn't play the games. Is they took the Assassin's Creed photo feature. So like in Assassin's Creed games since Origins, they have like that little photo icon on the map, and you can see like pictures your friends or other people have taken. They took that feature and put it into Prince of Persia to where, because it's a Metroidvania, and let's say this is just an example. They didn't give like a perfect example because I don't know if they want to spoil or they didn't know what powers it would be. But like, let's say there's like, like in Hollow Knight, there's a ledge that's super high. Like, okay, at some point I'll be able to double jump or do something to get up there. So what you do in the Prince of Persia game is you can take a screenshot of that obstacle, and then when you open up the map, it pins that picture to that spot. That way, later when you get whatever ability, it's like, oh right, because that's always one of my frustrations is the map unveils itself as you remove the shroud and you go to places. But it's like sometimes, especially in like Hollow Knight, it's like, okay, I got this new ability that lets me do this. Where were all the places that required this ability? And now it's like in the Prince of Persia game, you just open your map and you can see like, oh, here's a picture of, where I need a double jump, or here's a picture of where I need to turn into mist to go through the bars in Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Like to be able to see what the obstacle was. I thought that was really cool.
That is so awesome that it pins it to the map too. Because when I was playing Hollow Knight, I do that. I take screenshots of like, okay, I need to remember that this is here and stuff like that. But then I go back and look at the screenshot and it's like, I have no idea where this was.
Yeah. So I was like, that's so cool. And of course, everybody talking about had no idea it was a feature in Assassin's Creed. Or it's also in, I believe they added it to the recent Far Cry as well, Far Cry 6. But it's like, yeah, it's such a smart idea to take this little feature that is hardly used, I feel like, in Assassin's Creed to like have great utility in another genre. I thought was really cool. I was like, that's
super awesome.
Yeah, super smart. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. And then, man, I don't know what it is. Epic Game Store. So I have like this one person who like sent me an invite, and like every now and then Epic Game Store be like, yo, you got a friend request for, this person. I'm like, this is from so long ago. I don't play with I think because it was probably through PlayStation and we were playing Fortnite. So it sends it on probably both the PlayStation side and the Epic Game servers because it's, linked to that account, whatever it is, to play Fortnite. So I kept getting the notification like, hey, they sent an invite, request or deny or accept or deny. And I kept going, deny. And then eventually it keeps coming back. And I'm like, what is going on? Epic Game Store, man, just make it go away, please. Stop.
But maybe they just keep sending her the request. They get a notification that's like, this person denied your request. And they're like, oh, well, that's fun. I'll request again.
Yeah, like they're just trolling me. I'm like, God damn it. But yeah, before I get into what I'm playing, because I haven't played too much, so I logged into my wrap up. Apparently, I played 39 games in 2023 on Sony consoles. I obviously played a little bit more on PC. But the first game I played in the year was on New Year's Day. I played Minecraft, so I must have played that with the kid because he wouldn't have been in school. And then the biggest games I played, and obviously none of these. So Baldur's Gate's going to overshadow, so is Oni, any of these games here. But on PlayStation, I played, my number one game was FF16. I played it for 56 hours. Of my total playtime ratio, that's 90% of my playtime on PlayStation. My number two game was Marvel's Midnight Suns, which I played for 35. Then Marvel's Spider-Man 2, which I played for 33. Resident Evil 4, which I played for 32, and Alan Wake 2, which I played for 29, which I'm really curious then where Dead Space fell in. So I must have beat Dead Space pretty quick then. Because it didn't do as much change like Resident Evil 4 did as far as, being ranked. Like they made the whole map seamless, but they did add a little bit of like some side quest content you could do in the game. So I'm surprised it doesn't show up here for that long. But, and then, so those are my top 5. My gaming style is role player. You spent 31% of your game time leveling up, completing fetch quests, and saving the world once again. So which makes sense because obviously my game time in Baldur's Gate is significantly higher. I'm going to open up Steam while I look up the rest of this. I'm curious what my Baldur's Gate time is. And then the next bit is so they do this cool thing where they break down your most played game by month, which I thought was really fun because it kind of shows like the games that I spent more months, playing one. But real quick, my total game time for Baldur's Gate 3 is 220 hours. So that's clearly number one. So then Marvel's in January, my number one game there was Marvel's Midnight Suns. Played for 29 hours in January. It's funny. So I had 44 game sessions in 54 hours. And I like this stat. And I also played apparently 16 games in that month. But I like this stat because it kind of really shows like how much game time I actually have. Because a lot of these times are very much one-to-one. Like every game session is about an hour. Dead Space was my February game. I guess I only took 14 hours. I must have. Well, it has a 14. I must have played. Oh, it must be because I played some of it in February and then it bled over into the next month because it says 14, but in total I played 20 hours of that game. And then in March was Resident Evil 4, and then in April was also Resident Evil 4. So that's a game that kind of bled over into each month. May was Horizon Forbidden West because I played the DLC. I spent 11 hours. I spent 10 hours in May, so that bled over. 1 hour bled over somewhere. Then June was, of course, FF16. July was FF16. And then this is funny because then my August and my September have no game data because Baldur's Gate came out on August 5th. So I spent 2 months playing Baldur's Gate. So it's just no game data. I'm like, yeah, no shit.
Where did you go? Are you okay?
Yeah, right. And then October is Marvel Spider-Man 2. November's Alan Wake 2, and then December is Tiny Tina's Wonderlands because I played 1 hour of that, which is so funny. But yeah, it just looking at all my game sessions, it's basically one-to-one when I look at them. Because when I look at like each month for FF16, well, except for that one, apparently had a in July. Apparently had maybe because of the 4th of July holiday, I guess. But oh, it's Spider-Man. I had some pretty big sessions. I must have played that a lot at nighttime because like Alan Wake, it's like 15 sessions, 22 hours, a little more than an hour each session. FF16, I had like 15 sessions, 19 hours in June. So it's like, okay, just slightly over an hour. 14 sessions of Horizon, but only 11 hours. So it's like I must have started and stopped. But I was remote playing, so maybe that was probably why I had so many. Resident Evil was like 34 sessions, 35 hours. So you can definitely see like I usually only have an hour, especially if I'm not working out and I play right after work, it's about an hour until the wife gets home with the kid because she picks him up from daycare. And so then he'll want to come see me. I'll stop playing whatever game I'm playing. We'll hang out, yada, yada. And then at nighttime, that's usually where I get more than an hour in, depending on what time I start and what time the kids get to bed. But yeah, I thought it was a fun little wrap up. I forget what else they have in here. If there's anything, let's see, because one of this is like just an advertisement for PlayStation Plus. I'm like, oh, you're a role player? Here's a bunch of role playing games you can play. I'm like, no, I'm good. It's like this year you played 293 hours, but then it says you spent 94.2% of game time playing 29 games on your PS5. I'm like, okay, well, where was the other 6% and 6 other games? I think, or however many games I played. Like, where were those? Because I didn't play anything on. I guess it's counting PS4. I guess because early this year, yeah, it must have been PS4 stuff it wasn't tracking because my kid probably would have played Sackboy. He would have played Astro's Playroom maybe before we moved. So I guess maybe he was playing some games on my PS4 and that's why it's not tracking. And it's only showing my PS5 games because that's the biggest one.
It's not counting like backwards compatibility stuff or just other console stuff.
Yeah, I got 257 trophies. And it's like your social style. The Messenger, you had a lot to say and got the word out by sending 16 messages this year. I'm like, really? That's a lot to say. I said 16 messages. What the hell was I could have been saying much with only 16. And then
I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of it for all the fun stats. Yes, then they have like a nice big like breakdown thing. But yeah, I thought it was I always kind of like these wrap ups to see. And I really like that monthly breakdown of your biggest game each month. I think that's really cool. But yeah, as far as what I've been playing, just some more Avatar. I got the flying mount recently, and so it's really fun just to fly around with the mount, and it's nice to actually be able to in Horizon spoilers. You can only land in like, well, you can obviously jump off anytime you want, but you can only land it really on like certain perches.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this is like I can land the Ikron like anywhere. So that's nice. The controls are a little weird. I'm like, it's kind of not as intuitive as I thought they'd be. Like I thought it'd be a little more standard, which is fine. I was able to adapt to it pretty quick, but that's just fun to fly around. I think because that world again, it's so beautiful. If people haven't seen the Digital Foundry video, it looks so good. To just see that game. It has like people talk about how it has like one of the best open. The moment when you leave the human base, because it's like you're in like the opening cutscenes is all in the human base, and then when you go out into the open world, and it looks so cool because like it's this long maintenance tunnel, and there's a light at the end of it, but because the wall is broken, the foliage has like started to creep into the tunnel, so there's this slow buildup of like seeing like a little. You could see it like start small and then get more and more and more, and then you just pass through the opening, your eyes adjust, and it's just like this beautiful landscape. It's like a great moment.
That's a cool way to do that.
It would have been cool if it was a little more wide open, kind of like seeing Limgrave for the first time. That would have been awesome. It's a little more closed off, but then it's just so dense, it still looks beautiful. But yeah, I think if it had been a little more open, because there's like as you go through, like you fall some water, it makes sense like why it's not right next to the waterfall, because why would the human base be right there? Like it'd be kind of weird. But yeah, it would have been cool if it was just a little more open. You could see a little more stuff. But yeah, it is a great scene. But yeah, playing some of that, playing more. I re-rolled on Oni because I gotta get past the point where I'm like, I get to a certain spot, I'm like, okay, I'm good, but I'm not actually doing quote unquote the main objective, like going back out to space. Like I only ever went out to space like in one game way before the Spaced Out DLC, and back when it was the old school space map. And I really need to get back into making rockets and stuff like that. But like because in my last space, like I tamed a bunch of volcanoes. It was a really nice map, and then I just like, okay, I'm done. And then I just re-rolled. Now I'm like 70 cycles into my new base, and I'm like, okay, here we go, yada yada. Because I don't know, man. Just I talk about it to death, but like I just love like the beginning setup, getting everything set up, and getting your food stuff settled, getting your oxygen, all that stuff. Where like you could just walk away and it would take care of itself for at least like hundreds of cycles. It's just really fun. But
that initial like setup phase where you're planning everything, getting it to the point of like maintenance mode, but you don't actually want to do the maintenance mode.
Right. Yeah. When it's taking care of one problem at a time, fixing it. Like, okay, I took care of CO2. I taking care of water next. I got to take care of this next. It's like, I love that, just especially because it's like, well, the map's different. So it's like, okay, like, where is the water? I got to find the water, yada, yada. And it's just, I love that setup. It's not like every time you re-roll like a Civ game, and it's like, okay, where am I? What am I near? How am I going to lay out my different districts? I can like put the pins down, yada, yada. But yeah, I really wanted to play Sons of the Forest because I believe the 1.0 of that is supposed to come out pretty soon. Like they did patch 15 on the 30th of November. And I believe the full release is happening in February 22nd. And I really want to play that, but like if Isley is able to get that bonus, he might be able to get a laptop. Then maybe we can finally play Sons of the Forest, because I really want to play that game, but I want to play it with someone.
I forgot that game like wasn't fully out.
Yeah, and then just I'll probably, this week's a 4-day week for me. I got that Friday off, and then I got like the time off between Christmas and New Year's we talked about. So I'll probably just play a ton of stuff. I'll play probably speed through Alan Wake 2, since I'll have the toddler will be at daycare, so that'll be good. And then probably finish Chances of Sonar, because I really want to go back to that. And then just play the God of War stuff, and maybe go back. And there's a lot of sales going on in the Epic Game Store right now. Like I believe the Jedi Survivor's on sale. If I remember, the deals go till like I wish they would show all the deals here. Where are all the deals, man? You gotta show them a little better. But anyways, I think it's on my wish list. I have it on my wish. Yeah, so Immortals of Avium's on sale as well. It's like 60% off. So I'm like, and yeah, Jedi Survivor's 50% off. So I'm like, and these, it's weird because I guess like PlayStation only price matches a Steam sale, and they don't price match EGS sales, I suppose.
Really?
Yeah, well, because I thought like, oh, they're on sale here. They must be on sale on Steam and on PlayStation, but they're not. But I guess it must be like because maybe EGS like they put stuff maybe on sale, like they don't stick to MSRP as close as the other digital stores do, because they're like, hey, where we have so much money, we can afford to discount a little more. Like I'm wondering if that's the reason. Like because Steam had a sale recently, probably obviously near probably Black Friday or whatever, and I think it was also at the same time on PlayStation. So it must be, if that's, I don't know how the sales work, like if it's publisher driven, like, hey, you guys can discount, and then this is just store driven, you know what I mean? I'm curious how that works on the back end, because yeah, if it's like, if they haven't, yeah, I don't know, man. I'd be really curious to know how deals work and why some people don't do them at the same time. But anyway, so I was thinking about, I might as well just buy them there, because I don't mind using the Epic launcher. But
yeah,
so I mean, I already have games on Ubisoft, even though they can, for the most part, they can, except for Avatar, they can launch through Steam. But anyways, I'll probably be playing a lot. And then I think, if you look at the calendar, I believe, open up the calendar, because I don't think we'll be recording next weekend, because since Christmas Eve is on that Sunday. I mean, we probably, well, I don't know if this will be out of town, but we're probably busy doing family stuff and whatnot. But yeah, so we'll probably not have an episode next week, unless, who knows, maybe Isley, if he beats Baldur's Gate or something, maybe we'll have like a spoiler cast for Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know. But yeah, this could be the last one until next year. So, but we'll see. All right, but we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. So thank you for all tuning in. Thank you, Zaya, for joining. And we'll see you all next time.
Bye.